What's going on, guys? I wanted to do a quick video talking about some of the functional patterns that I like to use to strengthen and activate the deep core stabilizers. So namely here we're talking about the transverse abdominis, the multifidus, internal oblique, quadratus lumborum, and then even the psoas in some studies that we're kind of looking at would all be considered local stabilizers. So we want to kind of come up with exercises that really replicate some functional daily patterns. I think most PTs do a really good job of activating these, in supine or hook lying on the table, or even in quadruped on hands and knees. But then we maybe don't carry these functional, progressions out as well as we could to continue strengthening and activating these muscles in daily patterns. So two of the ones I like to use are step patterns and squat patterns. I'm going to go through the step patterns real quick, and then we'll look at the squat patterns in a later video. So all you need is a couple bands behind you, about shoulder height. We're going to kind of anchor the bands, let them run below the arms with this, and you're going to kind of come out and start with one foot behind the other. As you transition, we want to go slow. You want to kind of draw the stomach in away from the front of the pants, like you were trying to button a tight pair of pants. That stays drawn in the whole time. Good posture here, and then as we transition, this back foot comes up, and we slowly go into a press out. You don't want to go between point A and point B super quickly, because the benefit and the way that we really get these stabilizer muscles involved is stabilizing between point A and point B. So if we're just kind of ballistically going, if we start here and then it's kind of that, well, we're really not kicking in our stabilizers a whole lot. They activate a lot better under that gradual change where the body needs more stability. And as we move one foot off the ground, we get a little bit of a rotational force, and so the anti-rotation muscles, namely the deep core stabilizers, are also helping to kick in to prevent that rotation from occurring. We can do the same thing coming from behind. I would say when you're pressing out from the front, it's a little bit more transverse abdominis activation there in the front. And then as we come from the back, definitely some different muscles kick on here. But we're starting same kind of thing, one foot behind, one foot in front. As that rear foot comes back, we're going to nice contract and hold, and then slow transitions. Contract and hold. You can also do this as a straight arm pattern. Or you can go one at a time. And you can really start to play around with the rotational forces, which again is going to cause those anti-rotation muscles, which the multifidus is kind of an anti-rotation muscle, to kick in a little bit better. A lot of times we do that quadruped slide out exercise, where you're here, lift, and then come back. That's another form of an anti-rotation, because we're removing a point of stability, and if the muscles didn't kick in, we would rotate. So that's kind of the idea of an anti-rotation. It holds you level when the point of stability is removed. So that's the same way that we're carrying these functional patterns over with the band steps. So I hope that's helpful. These are some of the ones I really like to use in the clinic, and then we'll go over the squat patterns next. All right, guys, so we've got just a Swiss ball on some blocks here. You could certainly use a chair or a stool, or whatever kind of fits the height or the depth of the squat that you're wanting. We're going to use the same two bands from behind. We just come around and anchor it onto the ball. And even just sitting here, I've got to kind of keep my core activated. Sometimes that's why I like to use the ball. But if it's a lower level patient or they have more trouble balancing, I'm probably going to put them on something more sturdy. But as we're doing this, you lean forward a little bit, and again, we're trying to kind of slow this down. I can already tell with my setup, I've got a little bit too much band tension here, so I'm just going to scoot this guy back a little bit, and this is probably something now that I'll actually be able to control. So again, as we're coming up into the squat, we get a little bit of forward lean, but not too much, and you can see there that wasn't too smooth. I'm just going to start from the top, but what we're going to do is we're going to press out as we squat, and then as we come back down, we're kind of letting things come in, and then stand up and press out. And you're only leaning as far forward as you have to not fall backward. but you'll get patients that they use that lean as an advantage. You want to try to stay as upright as you can, because again, your postural muscles that will reflexively kick in when you start to lose your balance are all those core stabilizers that we're trying to kick in anyway. There's a ton of studies showing that when someone goes off balance, a lot of our reflexive stabilizers kick in. So you kind of want to always be flirting with that line of, am I going to fall over? Which is really good for stability muscles. So we're here, and you can certainly play around with this again. Sometimes I'll have the person push out and just hold that throughout the whole rep, and then slowly come back down. So that's a great kind of squat push pattern. Or you can have it be more dynamic, where they're pressing out and coming down like that. If we want to make this into a rowing pattern, we're just going to shift this a little bit. It'll be kind of the same thing. So we're here, but now as I squat, my arms are out at the bottom, coming up and rowing at the top. Again, slow transitions here. And then I'll also go ahead and do one to each side. So this is just my 4-point stability squat, is how I would write that in the note. So we're here now, and we're basically combining a peel-off and a squat. So a little bit of a press and hold, and this would just be an anti-rotation squat pattern where those muscles are kicking in to stabilize me as I squat. Again, there's nothing wrong with doing a normal peel-off press, but the whole point is we really need these muscles kicking in during these, sit to stand patterns, bending over to pick something up patterns. And a lot of times when we're here in neutral and we're teaching the patient to do, this, they get that, but then when they go to actually move and do something in daily life, they lose that core activation. So it's really important to carry those patterns a little further into more functional activities so that they get better at maintaining those core contractions during daily living stuff. So those are the ones I like, the step patterns with the step push and pull, and then the 4-point stability squat. So try those out. I think you'll really like them. Don't need very heavy bands. These bands are pretty light, but it doesn't take much to really activate those muscles pretty well. So hopefully that's helpful. Try it out, guys.